A few bad apples, they said. Apples laced with poison. Apples that kill. Apples left in the barrel long after we noticed their rot. Protected by the other apples who rally around them, declaring poison is standard apple procedure. Protected by qualified apple immunity to the laws of the land. Protected by a society that too often looked away or found a flaw with how the victim chewed once upon the past, or simply disliked the color of their teeth. The poison lingering, festering, dripping onto the apples below them, waiting for the next unsuspecting bite. The other apples claim the bad ones wouldn't have killed if you had been in better health. You should have been able to withstand the poison. Childhood memories tiptoe, twist, tango, and tap dance their way among the drops. Drops of rain onto the photographs of our mind, embrittled from our oily hands whose loving touch has left them bent and warped. Drops inadvertently embellished with family lore and yellowed from the endless procession of sunlight, until we can no longer tell which moisture is the true memory of sweat and which drops were simply the result of the rain. A black stormtrooper has got me all stressed. Somebody help me. I'm being oppressed. On the card in the mail, Happy Holidays was expressed. I can't believe it. I'm being oppressed. I heard someone speak Spanish, and now I'm depressed. When will it stop? I'm being oppressed. Wearing a mask makes me distressed. Fucking Costco has me oppressed. I fix women's words when they're a little messed. Mansplaining, they called it. I'm being oppressed. I ask for naked pics when I friend request, and then they block me. I'm being oppressed. They shout me too when I molest. Like that's even fair. I'm being oppressed. 26 rifles strapped across my chest. A background check? I'm being oppressed. Forced to bake a cake for a couple I didn't want to be blessed. Oh, how I suffer. I'm being oppressed. For straight pride parade, I got all dressed. Nobody came. I'm being oppressed. The Confederate flag, my heritage professed. Banned at NASCAR? I'm being oppressed. I only watch Fox News. They're just the best. And they all agree. I'm being oppressed. For White History Month, I continue to press, but they refuse. I'm being oppressed. I said hi to a black man at our church as a guest, so I can't be racist. I'm being oppressed. I shout, all lives matter at your dumb protest. I'm the one who's being oppressed. Armed with only your books and your unbelievably strong determination, you walked. The street was lined with the angriest white faces you had yet to see, shouting things more vile than you could imagine. Still, you walked. Hatred, fear, and ignorance stood side by side, arm in arm, to block your path. But you walked. Bombarded with slurs and threats of death, yet you walked. A black baby doll was placed in a coffin, an unmistakable sign of the danger ahead, and you walked. With more courage than I can imagine, facing depths of discrimination I can't even begin to comprehend. On you walked, without a whimper, without a tear. When you were only 6, you walked. An entitled white man's knee under an unrestrained and unpunished badge of law, pushing maliciously against a black man's neck, making him beg unsuccessfully for the right to his own life until his final breath is squashed, is a most fitting metaphor for the history of our country. And I wish it were only history, and I wish it were only metaphor. I see all these people shouting with hate. I was just wondering, now are we great? We demonized immigrants like children in crates, and I was just wondering, now are we great? We attacked your rights because you aren't straight, and I was just wondering, now are we great? We declared a religion we won't tolerate, and I was just wondering, now are we great? Hate crimes have climbed at an alarming rate, and I was just wondering, now are we great? We left the Paris Accord disbelieving our fate, and I was just wondering, now are we great? Too many students keep losing classmates, and I was just wondering, now are we great? We ignore the homeless, but the rich celebrate, and I was just wondering, now are we great? We attack the free press and their right to debate, and I was just wondering, now are we great? Women's rights to their bodies evaporate, and I was just wondering, now are we great? We consider protesters enemies of the state, turning weapons on those who demonstrate, using tear gas to ensure equality cannot fumigate. And I was just wondering, now are we great? Well, not just great, but great again. And that has me wondering, when? The time of tribal extinction? Or when we shackled our slaves? When women couldn't vote? Oh, those were the days. When we hid in our closets from genuine fear? When we were locked in prison for just being queer? When American citizens of Japanese descent were held indefinitely in internment? When we granted rights based on the color of skin? When segregation forever, our governors grinned? When Nazis marched openly out in the street? Something I never thought we'd repeat. Is it greatness now and greatness then that our government kills with a fountain pen? Is this greatness we see as we look all over? I guess greatness is in the eye of the beholder.